The fleet of ships floated silently in the dark space between stars. These were not ordinary ships. They were old, very old. For 500,000 years, they had waited here, far from any sun or planet, hidden from all eyes. Each ship bore a simple mark, a blue circle with the outline of a continent that no longer existed, Earth. Inside the largest ship, called the Retribution, a glass pod hissed open. Cold air escaped as Captain Alan Mason took his first breath in 500,000 years. His eyes opened slowly. The dim blue lights of the pod room seemed too bright at first. His muscles felt weak after the long sleep. "Status report," he said, his voice rough from disuse. A soft voice answered from all around him. "Welcome back, Captain Mason. I am Old Sam. All systems are working well. The fleet is intact. It is time." Alan sat up slowly. His mind was still foggy from the long sleep. Time. It was time. The words echoed in his head. 500,000 years had passed since Earth fell. Since the Wrathborn had come with their great ships and terrible weapons. Since humanity had been hunted nearly to extinction. Nearly, but not completely. In other pods around him, more crew members were waking up. Lisa Ward opened her eyes and immediately checked the communication systems on the small screen by her pod. Greg Peters went straight to tactical, his fingers running over weapon displays before he could even stand properly. Susan Kelly, the chief engineer, was already checking the ship's engines. They were the last humans, the final survivors, sent away with a simple mission: wait, grow stronger, and return when the enemy had forgotten to fear them. "Old Sam," Alan called as he stood on shaky legs. "Show me the galaxy now." A large screen lit up on the wall. Stars and systems appeared, with colored areas showing different territories. Nearly a third of the galaxy was marked in red. "The Wrathborn Empire has expanded greatly," Old Sam explained. "They now control 28% of all known systems. They have conquered 47 intelligent species and either enslaved or destroyed them." Lisa joined Alan by the screen. "And Earth? What about our home?" Old Sam's voice seemed to grow quieter. "Earth remains a restricted zone. No ships are allowed to approach. The Wrathborn have declared it cursed ground." Greg laughed bitterly. "They're afraid. After all this time, they're still afraid of us." "With good reason," Susan said as she checked the ship's main systems. "Our automated shipyards have been working for 500,000 years. Our technology is now centuries beyond anything they could imagine." Ellen walked to the ship's main window. The fleet spread out before him. Hundreds of vessels of all sizes, sleeping giants just beginning to wake. The last fleet of humanity. The avenging fleet. "How many of us survived the long sleep?" he asked. 4,823 humans remain in stasis across the fleet," Old Sam replied. "Revival of essential personnel is at 7% and proceeding as planned." Ellen nodded, his mind filling with the weight of what they must do. They were ghosts now, returning to haunt those who had killed them, the last remnants of a murdered world. "Begin full revival sequence for primary crew. Initiate stealth protocols. I want us to see them before they see us." Ellen's voice grew stronger with each word. "The people of Earth waited 500,000 years for this day. We will not fail them." As more pods opened around them, bringing humanity back from its long slumber, the great engines of the Retribution hummed to life. Lights flickered on across the massive fleet. Weapon systems warmed, shields activated, and ancient AIs awoke to serve their creators once more. The last fleet of Earth had returned, and the Wrathborn would soon remember why they had once feared humanity so much that they tried to wipe them from existence. 2 weeks passed as the Earth fleet moved silently through space. Thanks to their advanced cloaking technology, no Wrathborn sensors could detect them. They were ghosts watching their enemies, learning and planning. Paul Rivera sat at his science station on the Retribution's bridge. His eyes were tired from reading Wrathborn texts. As science officer, He had spent days studying the enemy's historical records they had secretly downloaded from an outpost. "Captain Mason, you need to see this," Paul said, looking up from his screen. Alan walked over. "What did you find?" "They've changed history. Look." Paul showed him the Wrathborn records about Earth. "They don't tell the truth about what they did to us. They teach their children that humans were dangerous monsters who would have destroyed all other life in the galaxy. They claimed they had to kill us to save everyone else." Alan's face hardened as he read. They murdered billions and then made themselves heroes for doing it. Across the bridge, Lisa Ward was monitoring communications across Wrathborn space. "Sir, their empire isn't as stable as it seems. I'm picking up reports of rebellions on at least 7 planets." Greg Peters nodded from Tactical. "Their military is spread thin trying to control too much territory. They've grown complacent over the centuries." In the medical bay, Kate Hudson made a discovery that shocked everyone. She called for an emergency meeting of the senior staff. "I've been analyzing DNA samples from various worlds," Kate explained as they gathered around a table. She displayed images on a screen showing genetic profiles. "The Wrathborn have been keeping some humans alive all this time." A heavy silence fell over the room. "Not pure humans," Kate continued. "They've been breeding them selectively for generations. They call them Earthkin and use them as slaves. These people have no idea where they really came from." Susan slammed her hand on the table. "They destroyed our world and then kept our children as pets." "How many?" Alan asked quietly. "Based on the data, possibly millions spread across hundreds of worlds," Kate answered. "They've been genetically modified to be more docile, but they're still human at their core." Alan stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. The mission had just become more complicated. They weren't just avenging the dead now. They were fighting for living humans who didn't even know they needed saving. "We need more information," he finally said. "We can't just attack blindly." Joe Carter, the security chief, spoke up. "My team can infiltrate some of their worlds. With our disguise technology, they'll never know we're human." "Do it," Alan ordered. "I want to know everything, their weaknesses, their defenses, and most importantly, where they're keeping our people." Later that night, Alan sat alone in his quarters looking at old pictures of Earth, green forests, blue oceans, and city skylines that no longer existed. "Old Sam," he called to the ship's eye. "If there are still humans out there, are there other survivors? Other ships that got away?" "Records indicate 17 smaller evacuation vessels were launched in different directions," Old Sam replied. "Their fate is unknown." A small hope flickered in Alan's heart. Perhaps they weren't the only ones after all. The next morning, Joe Carter and his team prepared for their mission. They would be the first humans to walk among the Wrathborn in 500,000 years. "Be careful," Alan told them as they boarded their small stealth ship. "Find our people if you can, but don't reveal yourselves. Not yet." As the infiltration team departed, the rest of the fleet continued their silent watch. The crews trained constantly, preparing for the war to come. Weapons were checked and rechecked. Battle plans were made and revised. On the bridge, Alan stared at a map showing the former location of Earth's solar system. It was marked as forbidden space by the Wrathborn. "We're coming home," he whispered. "And this time, we're bringing justice with us." Joe Carter and his team moved carefully through the crowded market on Nexus Prime, a major Wrathborn trading world. Their disguises worked perfectly. The special skin coverings and modified features made them look like common Vexari, a species that had been under Wrathborn rule for thousands of years. "Stay alert," Joe whispered into his hidden communicator. "Remember our mission. Information only." The team split up to cover more ground. Joe walked past stalls selling foods and goods from across the galaxy. He needed to find a way into the central data hub. Meanwhile, on a different planet, Susan Kelly had infiltrated a Wrathborn research facility. Dressed as a maintenance worker, She accessed their computer systems while pretending to fix a power conduit. "I'm in their archives," she reported back to the Retribution. "Downloading data now." What she found made her blood run cold. The Wrathborn had not attacked Earth out of hatred. They had attacked out of fear. Their religious leaders had seen visions of humans destroying their empire. The genocide of Earth had been a preventive measure. "They killed us because of a prophecy," Susan told Captain Mason later. "They never understood that by destroying us, they set that prophecy in motion." Back on the Retribution, Paul analyzed the data Susan had stolen. "Earth is still under quarantine," he reported. "The Wrathborn have automatic defense systems around our solar system. No ships are allowed to approach." "Why guard an empty world for 500,000 years?" Alan wondered. "Fear," Greg suggested. "They're still afraid of us." On a third world, Lisa Ward made an important contact. Disguised as a traitor, she met members of an underground resistance movement. These rebels fought against Wrathborn rule and included many different alien species. To her surprise, some Earthkin were among them. One of them, a woman named Robin Collins, approached Lisa. Robin had lighter skin and rounder eyes than most other slaves, features that hinted at her human ancestry. "You're not like the others," Robin said quietly. "There's something different about you." Lisa chose her words carefully. "I'm looking for information about the old times, before the Wrathborn ruled everything." Robin looked around to make sure no one was listening. "My family has kept things, secret things from the before time. Would you like to see?" Robin led Lisa to a hidden room beneath her small home. There, wrapped in protective cloths, were human artifacts. A book, a small statue, and a metal object that Lisa recognized as an ancient Earth smartphone. "My ancestors have kept these for generations," Robin explained. "We don't know what they all mean, but we know they're important." Lisa's heart raced. These Earthkin had preserved pieces of human culture without even understanding what they were. "What do you know about where your people came from?" Lisa asked. "Only stories," Robin answered. "They say we once had our own world, but the Wrathborn saved us from our violent ways. I've never believed that. Why would they save us only to make us slaves?" Lisa wanted desperately to tell Robin the truth, but it wasn't time yet. Instead, she promised to return and learn more about the resistance. When all the teams returned to the fleet, they shared their findings. The Wrathborn Empire was not as strong as it appeared. Corruption and rebellion were everywhere. Many worlds were held only through fear and brutal force. "Their technology has barely advanced in thousands of years," Susan reported. "They've been too focused on control to innovate." Alan considered all the information. The moment to reveal themselves was coming soon. But first, they needed to know more about Earth itself. Why did the Wrathborn keep it so heavily guarded after all this time? "Prepare a stealth mission to Earth," he ordered. "We need to see our home world with our own eyes." No human had seen Earth in 500,000 years. It was time to go home. The small stealth ship slipped past the Wrathborn defense platforms orbiting Earth. Captain Alan Mason stared out the window as their home planet came into view. It was both familiar and strange. The continents were still there, but their shapes had changed slightly over the 500,000 years. There was more green than he expected. "Atmosphere readings show oxygen levels close to what we remember," Paul said from his science station. "The radiation from the Wrathborn weapons has mostly faded." "They didn't just kill us," Greg muttered. "They poisoned our home." Alan studied the planet's surface, but nature survived. Earth healed itself. "I'm detecting artificial structures near what used to be North America," Susan reported, "and energy readings underground." "Take us down," Alan ordered. "I want to see." As they flew over the land, they saw forests and plains where cities had once stood. Animals roamed freely. Some looked like those from human times. Others had evolved into new forms. "Look," Lisa pointed as they passed over a large flat area. "That was once a city. You can still see the outline of streets under the grass." They landed near the energy readings Susan had detected. Wearing protective suits, the team stepped onto Earth's surface for the first time in 500,000 years. The air smelled clean and fresh. Birds called in the distance. This way, Susan led them to what looked like a hillside, but was actually a hidden entrance. Their scanners revealed a complex facility beneath. Inside, they found a vast underground vault. Lights activated automatically as they entered. The systems recognized them as human. "Welcome, authorized personnel," a voice greeted them. "Preservation Vault 12 remains at optimal function." "What is this place?" Lisa asked in wonder. They moved through chambers filled with sealed containers. Each was marked and preserved perfectly. As they read the labels, they understood. "These are DNA samples," Kate said, her voice filled with emotion. "Plants, animals, humans, they saved everything. Our ancestors built this before the end," Paul realized. "They knew Earth might survive even if we didn't." In the central chamber, they found a recorded message from the past. A woman in an old-style uniform appeared as a hologram. "If you are viewing this, then some portion of humanity has survived as we hoped. These vaults exist on every continent. They contain the genetic legacy of Earth. Everything needed to restore life as it was. This was our final act before the evacuation. Good luck to you, children of Earth. Rebuild what we lost." The team stood in silence. Their ancestors had left them more than weapons and ships. They had left them the means to bring Earth back to life. "This changes everything," Alan said quietly. Before they could fully explore the vault, their ship sent an urgent alert. A Wrathborn patrol had detected something unusual and was coming to investigate. "We have to go," Greg urged. "We can't risk discovery yet." Reluctantly, they returned to their ship and escaped just as Wrathborn vessels entered Earth's orbit. They watched from a safe distance, hidden by their stealth technology. "They're scanning the area where we landed," Lisa reported. Alan made a decision. "It's time. We've gathered enough information. The Wrathborn have held Earth hostage for too long." Back on the Retribution, Alan called the fleet's commanders together. The time for hiding was over. "We will strike their military base at Outpost Sigma," he announced. "It's isolated enough that we can test our weapons and tactics without alerting their entire empire. And it will send a message: humanity has returned." As the fleet prepared for their first battle in 500,000 years, Alan stood at the window of his quarters, looking toward the distant point of light that was Earth. "We're not just fighting for revenge anymore," he said to old Sam. "We're fighting for a future. Our home is waiting for us." The battle at Outpost Sigma was over in less than 20 minutes. The human fleet's weapons tore through Wrathborn defenses like they were made of paper. Their ships, built with technology that had developed for 500,000 years, were far beyond anything the Wrathborn had ever seen. "No survivors," Greg reported from his tactical station. "The outpost is destroyed." Alan nodded. He felt no joy in the victory, only a grim satisfaction that the first step had been taken. "Move the fleet back to the rendezvous point." News of the attack spread quickly through Wrathborn space. Their leaders could not explain what had happened or who had attacked them. Fear began to grow. "They're calling it an attack by ghosts," Lisa reported as she monitored Wrathborn communications. "Their religious leaders are saying ancient demons have returned." "Let them be afraid," Susan said. "They should be." But Alan was thinking beyond simple revenge. "We need to do more than destroy them. We need to break their control over the galaxy, especially over the Earthkin." Paul had been studying the data they gathered from Earth. "The DNA vaults give me an idea. We could show the galaxy what Earth was really like, what the Wrathborn really destroyed." Alan smiled. "A war of information. I like it." Over the next few days, human stealth ships visited dozens of Wrathborn worlds. They didn't attack. Instead, they broadcast images and videos of Earth as it had once been. Blue oceans, green forests, bustling cities, and human culture in all its diversity. Along with these images, they sent the truth about what the Wrathborn had done. On planets with Earthkin populations, the effect was immediate. Slaves who had never known their true heritage now saw images of the world they came from. Many began to question everything the Wrathborn had told them. Rebellions are breaking out on 7 worlds, Lisa reported with excitement. The Earthkin are demanding to know the truth about their past. Susan had developed a special virus that infected Wrathborn computer networks. When it activated, it showed images of Earth and played human music. The Wrathborn couldn't stop it. Their technicians had never seen anything like it. Their leadership is in chaos, Greg said, showing reports from across Wrathborn space. Their military is rushing from system to system, trying to contain the damage. Robin Collins, the Earthkin woman Lisa had met, became a leader in the growing rebellion. She sent a message to the human fleet. "We have heard your call," she said. "We know the truth now. The Earthkin stand ready to fight for our ancestors' memory." Ellen was pleased, but he knew the Wrathborn would not give up easily. "We need to be careful. We don't want them taking revenge on the Earthkin." His caution proved wise. The Wrathborn leadership, called the Ascendancy, declared martial law across their territories. They sent troops to Earthkin settlements and took many hostage. "They're demanding that we show ourselves," Lisa said after reading their broadcast. "They say they will execute Earthkin hostages if we don't surrender." Alan's face hardened. "They're making the same mistake they made 500,000 years ago. They think they can defeat us through cruelty." Joe Carter suggested a bold plan. "Let's hit their homeworld next. Not with weapons, but with the truth. If we can get our message directly to their population, even more Wrathborn might begin to question their leaders." Ellen considered this. "It's risky, but it might work. Prepare a special team. We'll need our best people for this." As they planned their next move, a message arrived from a distant star system. It came on an old human frequency that only their fleet would recognize. "This is Colony Ship Endeavor to any human vessels. We survived. We are still here. Please respond." Alan stared at the message in shock. They were not alone after all. The message from Colony Ship Endeavor changed everything. Alan immediately ordered the fleet to send a secure response. "This is Captain Alan Mason of the Earth Fleet Retribution. We hear you, Endeavor. You are not alone." 2 days later, they received coordinates for a meeting. The Endeavor had survived by hiding in a remote star system, far from Wrathborn territory. Over the centuries, they had built a small colony and kept their technology hidden. "We must be careful," Lisa warned. "It could be a trap." Alan agreed, but they couldn't ignore this chance. He took a small team on a fast stealth ship to the meeting point. The Endeavor colony was hidden inside a large asteroid. As Alan's ship approached, he saw a community of several thousand people living in a carefully constructed habitat. An older man named Ben Porter greeted them when they docked. "Welcome, brothers and sisters of Earth. We never thought we'd see other humans again." Ben explained how their colony ship had fled in a different direction during Earth's final days. They had found this asteroid and built their home inside it, always staying hidden from Wrathborn patrols. "We have 18,000 people now," Ben told them proudly. "We've kept human knowledge and culture alive all this time." Alan shared what his fleet had discovered: the DNA vaults on Earth, the Earthkin slaves, and their battles against the Wrathborn. "We need to coordinate our efforts," Alan said. "With your people and our fleet, we can strike the Wrathborn from multiple directions." As they talked, an urgent message came from the Retribution. The Wrathborn had discovered the location of one of their ships and captured several crew members. Worse, they had learned about Earth's DNA vaults. "They're sending a massive fleet to Earth," Greg reported. "They plan to destroy the vaults once and for all." Alan knew they had to act quickly. He asked Ben and the Endeavor colonists for help. "We've been hiding for 500,000 years," Ben said. "But if we don't fight now, Humanity might truly be lost forever. We will join you. The Endeavor had built small, fast ships for defense. They weren't as powerful as the Retribution fleet, but they were many. Alan returned to his fleet with the news. We make our stand at Earth. We protect the vaults at all costs. They sent messages to all the rebelling worlds, to every Earthkin settlement, and to every species oppressed by the Wrathborn. The message was simple. The time to fight back had come. The human fleet took position around Earth, joined by the Endeavor ships. It wasn't long before the Wrathborn Armada appeared, hundreds of warships commanded by the Supreme Ascendant himself. They're broadcasting a message, Lisa said. The face of the Supreme Ascendant appeared on their screens. He was tall with scale-like skin and eyes that burned with hatred. Demons of Earth, he said. You should have stayed dead. Your home will become your grave once more. Alan stood on the bridge of the Retribution, looking at the enemy fleet. For a moment, he felt the weight of all human history on his shoulders. Open a channel, he ordered. When Lisa nodded, he spoke clearly and calmly. This is Captain Alan Mason of Earth. We do not want to destroy you. We want justice. Return our people. Acknowledge your crimes. Help us rebuild what you took from us. The Supreme Ascendant laughed. We will never bow to animals. You were meant to be extinct. We will correct that mistake today. Alan looked at his crew, at the determined faces of the last children of Earth. Then you leave us no choice. All ships, battle positions. Today we fight for Earth. The greatest space battle in 500,000 years was about to begin. The space around Earth lit up with weapons fire. The human fleet moved with perfect coordination, their ships dancing between Wrathborn blasts. Though outnumbered, their advanced technology gave them an edge. Shield status. Alan asked as the Retribution shook from a direct hit. Holding at 70%, Susan reported. Their weapons aren't as strong as we feared. Greg directed the fleet's attack pattern. Focus fire on their command ships. Don't let them coordinate. The battle raged for hours. Human ships moved faster than the Wrathborn could track. Their weapons cut through enemy shields like they weren't even there. Suddenly, Lisa called out from communications. Captain, we're receiving signals from within the Wrathborn fleet. Some of their ships are powering down weapons. What's happening? Alan asked. It's a rebellion, Lisa explained. Some Wrathborn captains are refusing to fight. They've learned the truth about Earth and won't continue the battle. The Supreme Ascendant's voice boomed across all channels. Traitors, I will destroy you alongside the humans. Wrathborn ships began firing on each other. Chaos spread through their ranks. Now's our chance, Alan said. All ships push forward to the Supreme Ascendant's vessel. The Retribution led the charge, cutting through the confused Wrathborn lines. 2 smaller human ships were lost, but the rest pressed on. We're in range of their command ship, Greg reported. Alan stood from his chair. I want to face him myself. Prepare a boarding team. Using their advanced transport technology, Alan, Joe, and a small team materialized inside the Supreme Ascendant's ship. They fought their way through guards and reached the command center. The Supreme Ascendant was tall and imposing. He growled when he saw Alan. So the animals come to face me directly. This ends now, Alan said. Your empire is falling. Your own people are turning against you. I will never surrender to humans, the Supreme Ascendant snarled. Drawing a weapon, Joe shot it from his hand. The team quickly captured the Wrathborn leader. We won't kill you, Alan told him. That's the difference between us. Instead, you will watch as we rebuild what you tried to destroy. The battle outside was ending. With their leader captured and many ships refusing to fight, the Wrathborn fleet began to retreat. It's over, Lisa said when Alan returned to the Retribution. We've won. But Alan knew it wasn't that simple. The fighting is over. The healing has just begun. In the days that followed, news of the Wrathborn defeat spread across the galaxy. Rebellions broke out on dozens of worlds. The empire that had stood for millennia began to crumble. The human fleet returned to Earth. They landed near one of the DNA vaults and began the long process of revival. The first animals cloned from ancient DNA were released into Earth's recovering ecosystems. Earthkin from across the galaxy made pilgrimages to Earth. Many cried when they first set foot on the planet their ancestors had called home. Robin Collins stood with Alan, watching as a group of Earthkin children played in a meadow where a city had once stood. "What happens now?" she asked. "We rebuild," Alan said. "Not just buildings and cities, but a new kind of civilization. One that includes all the peoples of the galaxy who want to live in peace." The Supreme Ascendant was kept in a comfortable but secure room where he could watch Earth's rebirth. Day by day, his hatred began to fade, replaced by understanding. 1 year after the battle, the first human baby was born on Earth in 500,000 years. They named her Hope. Old Sam's voice spoke quietly to Alan as he watched the celebration. "Captain, do you believe we fulfilled our mission?" Alan looked around at the new community growing on Earth. Humans from the fleet, colonists from Endeavor, Earthkin finding their heritage, and even some Wrathborn who had chosen peace. "Our ancestors sent us to avenge Earth," Alan said. "But I think we've done something better. We've given it a future." As the sun set over the recovering planet, the last fleet of Earth had found a new purpose, not just to remember the past, but to build a future where humanity would never be threatened with extinction again.